Deron Blevins from Black Metal Mercantile. Thank you for joining me today on Brite Cast. So we'll just start out with a little bit about you, about the business, and then we'll let the conversation go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Black Metal Mercantile. It's a retail shop in Old Town Manassas. Oh, I can't say Old Town Manassas. Historic downtown.
Oh, yeah, historic downtown.
And I flubbed that up.
Yeah.
So. We have a fun retail shop, which is now turned into a partial record shop as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
And we're at a month and, a year and 10 months now.
Wow.
So coming up on 2 years.
Feels like longer.
Some days it feels longer. Some days it seems yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I guess because you've had 2 Christmases already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is because I started April 23.
Yeah.
So I got the nice cycle of 2 Christmases, a nice cycle of, that's what the economy does.
Oh, yeah. And being ready for it.
That's it.
Yeah. So what made you want to do it? I mean, I have my opinions, but I want to hear from you, like, what the inspiration was.
It really started as an accident. I used to co-own Shining Soul with Pete Evick, and we had our warehouse. And so the Genesis is actually about 5 years ago, 6-7 years ago. We almost at one time rented the spot where Honey and Ivy is now, gluten-free, right next to Shining Soul. And we were going to use like a quarter of it to half for production because we had kind of outgrown. We had taken on a couple larger accounts.
Yeah.
And then the rest were like, maybe I'll start a pop culture store.
Yeah.
I had the name, had everything.
That's one of the hardest parts.
Yeah. And then before you know it, we actually landed another thing. It's when we started doing the Bed Bath & Beyond. Pete had pulled in an account from that. And we immediately, it's like, well, if this takes off, this space is not going to work.
Yeah.
So we got a warehouse.
Right.
So long story short, that was the original idea. But then back up to April of 2023, really that year. And we were going to close a warehouse for Shining Soul. And we were actually going to rent the space that I'm in now. Use that for part production for Shining Soul, put a wall up. In the front half, I'd run another store. And like 3 days out from lease, we just said, you know what? Let's keep production across the street.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man, that was going to be fun.
Yeah.
And what I did for Shining Soul was more graphics, web, marketing. I can do that from anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Times are tough. There's a lot of businesses out there. No. Especially in retail.
For sure.
This
in-person retail at that.
Yeah. This inflation economy is just ding, ding, dinged. So I'm like, you know what? I'm really at the point where do I go back to work for somebody else?
Right.
Or I
take a risk.
Shot on myself.
Yeah.
And I took a shot on myself.
Yeah.
And I still could do everything that I was doing for Shining Soul across the way. But really at that point, Pete and I, talked, and I let him run with Shining Soul because black metal grew fast.
Right.
And so really it happened by accident in the end. And I had to scramble.
Well, the speed of it did.
Yeah. The speed of it, like way. And then ever since April 23, it's just like slowly evolved. And I listen to people. I watch what they buy. I watch what they don't buy.
Yeah.
And just...
and you source everything, or you pick all the items, and that's probably fun.
It's
you get to like baby shop a little bit.
Yeah. I'm everything. I'm there literally for almost 2 years, 7 days a week, except for the few days I've taken off. And source it all, inventory it all, place it all, rearrange it all. Decide what not to have.
Yeah.
So.
And it's, one thing I think is Old Town has not had a place for guys to shop at all for anything fun, or people that are willing to listen to metal or anything of the sort that don't want to buy something whimsical. Nothing to say bad about those people, but it's nice to have something a little bit cooler and more, towards if you wanted to shop for a guy for a Christmas present or birthday present or whatever.
That's it. And originally the concept, whereas 5 years prior, it was like, pop culture store. This one was, I love old general stores.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder if I can do a modern version of a general store. And almost exactly what you say, also appeal to guys because that is lacking downtown.
Yeah.
And
Historic Manassas.
historic. Ooh, I said downtown. That counts.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there you go. That's really how it started. So all by accident, but
Well, a vision that you had,
Yeah.
at least, and then the opportunity arose to do something with it.
you'll probably relate to this. The biggest hurdle at the beginning was, what do I call it?
Oh yeah,
It's got to be something memorable,
yeah,
catchy, something that's not taken by 50,000 other domain variations.
right, yeah,
So I thought, okay, downtown Mercantile, that's kind of generic.
Yeah.
And there were others. Main Street Mercantile, well, not on Main Street, and there's a bunch of those.
right.
Manassas Mercantile,
Yeah.
well, kind of cool, but I don't know.
What if you ever wanted to grow from it, like,
Yeah.
or for like e-commerce stuff? Are people ever going to find that?
That's it. So cool, and then I was thinking, I just stepped back, tried to look at it from the outside in. It's like, all right, what do I definitely know some of my core things I want to sell? And whenever I went to a general store, I always enjoyed the black metal decor that hangs on the wall.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted that.
Like the laser engraved stuff. Yeah.
Powder coated, or sometimes it's now these days it's kind of UV printed.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted beef jerky,
Okay.
and I wanted those old school metal signs on
Yeah.
the wall. And then I knew I wanted to have a little music section because I love music.
Yeah.
So I started thinking names to go with that. And okay, black metal. Okay, black metal. Wait, black metal's a music genre too.
Yeah.
I could kind of make sure I have that in stock in case those people come in.
Right.
Wait, I'm always wearing
I'm
black.
always wearing
I love
black,
metal
black and
music.
white. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I knew I wanted Mercantile in it because that's the
Yeah.
old school general store name.
Yeah.
So that's literally how Black Metal Mercantile.
What did you like about old school general stores? Just the fact that you can kind of get a little bit of everything if you want it.
It was always random. It was always interesting. It was always quirky.
Yeah.
It was always a word I've heard most when people describe my store and just blurt out something. Eccentric and eclectic.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're always that. They always have something. You're always looking like, up. What's up on the wall? Oh, what do they got hanging on the ceiling?
Yeah. You almost really need like a good half hour to an hour to really get an idea of what is possible, you know, like, and there's so many like little things you don't notice. Like I got that, fuck on a duck thing or whatever.
Called What the Duck?
What the duck? Yeah. Yeah. I got it from my brother for Christmas last year. So he loves it.
I sold that out so many times.
Yeah.
And I need to actually get it back in. My original distributor, it's missing. I was like, oh. And I found another one, ordered it, but they were this tall.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay. Well,
No,
it's
they
still
got it.
kinda cool.
I mean, if I didn't buy it for him, I'd probably put it on my. I mean, when you get more in, I'll put one on one of these shows for sure.
That would be amazing.
So you talked about music. So what's your history with music? Do you play?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I just found out you with your whole band stuff. So I was researching your old band
Oh yeah.
on the couple episodes ago.
Still have CDs left over.
Yeah, there you go. Bring them in the shop. I'll sell them.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started playing guitar when I was 15. I'm almost 54 now.
Yeah.
And so this is late 80s, mid-late 80s. So I had the whole band thing in the late 80s. We were playing out like 89, 90, 92. Did the whole local circuit, Nicks, Jacks, Legends. Probably the most memorable Grog and Tankard in Washington, D.C. on a Wednesday night to maybe 3 people.
Yeah. I've had those too, don't worry.
Yeah. So I played lead guitar and sang lead back then.
Cool.
And then fast forward, that was, that era. And I don't know how long it's been now.
Was it covers or originals?
Mostly originals with some covers. Yeah. We're definitely, I loved writing music. That's what I love most about it.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't care. I really never had that bug to tour.
Yeah.
Or any of that. I just loved writing music and then bringing it to life with other guys.
Yeah. Like I was talking to my cousin about it, and Trent, same thing. Like, but just the hang that you get by, especially when you're writing, like actively writing with someone, that's like, there's not much better you can get.
No. And that's why AI excites me, because now you get all those, like I can still sing, but it's a different voice.
Yeah.
But now you get all these tools that I don't want to overuse, but I want to help complement. I literally have loads, hundreds of songs and riffs just sitting on 4-track cassette.
Okay. So you could
partially
take
written.
pieces of those and like have the AI help build the rest of the stuff.
Do my own drums if I need to, just
Yeah.
to get it written, and so they don't fall into infinities.
Right. I mean, I definitely have 20 or 30 easily that I can say that I've been sitting on for so long. And just because of that same reason, like, I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. Right. I don't have like the vision for it, but I know I don't want to forget that I wrote it.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I do.
Complete them.
Yeah.
I want to complete it and hear what they end up finished. And I know enough music people. So going back to your question, I played bass for like 8 years in the contemporary church band at Manassas Baptist.
Okay.
Sang lead on some of that too. That was fun because we got to rock out in church.
Yeah.
Christmas time, you break out Trans-Siberian. It was fun.
Yeah. Are you that good? I'm not that good.
I could play that song, maybe not note for note, but I could play it.
Okay, so pretty solid.
Yeah, that's the one where I'd actually trade off bass with somebody because currently no one in the band could play the shred part.
Right.
So I was like, oh, break out my Purple Ibanez.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then really haven't done much since.
I think it's harder to do as you get older, you know, and I'm a little bit younger than you. So, but it's still like while trying to build a business, I don't want to forget, you know, this whole side of me and not do it because it makes me, you know, makes me happy.
So you just hit the nail on the head. I don't either. It's driving my fiance Kat nuts because I got two guitars that sit in the living room, but I don't touch them.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to go down the rabbit hole and that just will hog my time.
Right, yeah.
But I need to. I know I need to.
We'll bring it into the shop when things are slow or something.
I've had a lot of people suggest that.
Yeah, especially once you have the record store. So that's a kind of a good segue. So you have like a third of the space
right.
that would be just for a record store? So
originally, yeah. So currently I have a whole back room, which used to be just storage.
Yeah.
When I started it, I just had a cabinet. And it maybe could hold 300 records. And so many people kept coming back looking for, what do you got new?
Oh, okay.
And then people would bring records in and say, hey, do you buy? I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And then before long, I mean, it looked really bad for a while. Like I had record bins all in my aisles.
Right.
Just clogging my aisles. My favorite line is our parking enforcement guy, I call him Pistol Packing Parking Pete.
Okay.
I've known him since
that's going to be tough to say.
And he's super nice guy.
Yeah.
Super honest. And he would come in and your store looks like shit. So it's like, I know.
Well, I'm trying to build something here. Yeah. You know, it takes a little bit of time. So what's your storage going to be like after that?
Yeah. So what I had to do, I had the storage room. So I had buddy Tracy build shelving in this hallway that I have that no one sees. Just built hall, and everything in the back, I either gave it away, threw it away, or got it in bins up on them shelves.
Yeah.
So I could clear out and start doing. So I put some new flooring, everything.
It's almost like a second business starting, sort of. Yeah.
It is.
Is that back entrance going to be open to the public?
No.
Yeah, it's probably safer that way.
Because, and this is what gets into the whole retail tactics, I want them to go through my store to get to the records.
Yeah.
Come back out, maybe grab this, maybe grab that.
Right.
In a nice way.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to see other things that they may not have otherwise seen.
Right. And controls the flow of the store and everything. Yeah. Do you listen to a lot of records personally? Well, do you have them playing in the store?
Not yet, but soon.
Yeah.
I was going to keep one of my record players I had, but I sold them all out at Christmas, which was a good thing.
That's a good thing, yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
So I currently have this huge TV, which a great customer of mine named Yvette, thank you, Yvette. She donated me a TV.
That's awesome.
70-some inch TV. And on my original plans, I wanted a huge TV on the wall playing music videos.
Yeah.
So that's currently what's in the back. And people will sit and watch it. They'll ask about the bands, which is awesome.
Yeah. Teach the youngins a little bit about something. Yeah.
I had on one of the first Fridays, a young couple standing there and, you know, do you doing the first Friday stuff? You go back in. They were still there an hour and a half later. I'm like, wow, they're watching the bands. That is so cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I remember those.
Were they stoned?
No, they were too young.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
who knows? Yeah. So how has First Fridays been for the business?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like you hear the talk come up about, First Fridays are going away. It's like anything else in life. There's going to be issues pop up, right?
Yeah.
Overall, First Fridays as a whole are amazing.
Yeah.
Once it gets later at night, if you don't curb the behavior or something.
I had Brandy Norell on last week, and she was like, at 9:30, it's kind of, but before that, from 6 to 9, it's like everything's packed, everyone's having a great time.
Right. Every single First Friday last year, except maybe even November. But for majority of them, my doors didn't close till 10:30, 11.
Oh, wow.
Because customers were in, they were browsing. We like to make the joke, they're drunk, they're going to buy more. But it really wasn't that.
Right.
It was just people were out and being able to walk around town with their drinks. It's just been amazing. Doubled my sales when they implemented that.
Wow.
As far as, because they're not locked into a restaurant.
Right.
They can always go back. That's amazing.
And I mean, it seems
it's
good for every other business, I'm sure.
First Fridays went away, that would have severely, and I don't use that word severely impacted my sales last year.
Yeah. So you think that it's going to be fine? It's just Battle Street.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's too much money that it brings in for that area.
And you can't let
they just need to get better about their enforcement.
Ruin it for everyone.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, like you said, maybe it's just closing the bars outside earlier.
And I feel bad for that because I know a lot of the bars,
they're making a killing.
Restaurants are doing well.
Yeah.
So it's exactly right. And I think towards the last 2 of the year, they implemented new rules, like timing of everything, and they really focused on enforcing that. And I think it did good.
Yeah.
And so that'll continue this year. So I think it's going to
So they're all in for at least 2025?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they can fix those little things, I mean, it's a great time, even for families and stuff, and if it's good for business, that's
Turn
awesome.
Up the music, it becomes like a little beach store.
Yeah.
Which was my original idea, the general store and stuff. I always wanted music somehow incorporated, but I knew on the weekends, once it gets later at night, I have memories of going to Myrtle Beach and go to Barefoot Landing, Broadway at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
The stores, music's up, it's cranking, you're feeling a good vibe.
Right.
I do that every weekend, and especially on First Fridays.
Yeah.
Music goes up. Although Brandy's got the DJ now.
She's got a DJ now.
Yeah, that's the music just comes in. So.
Yeah, that works out too.
But it's a fun time.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
So did you, before even like Shining Soul and stuff, what did you do business-wise? Or have you been an entrepreneur before?
So I'm yes.
Okay.
I'm a vagabond as far as my career. So high school, I took technical drawing classes. So I grew up here, so I went to Stonewall.
Okay. I went to OP.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. I couldn't control where I lived.
I had friends. Where I was near the line, so I had friends from OP, city, everything.
Yeah.
So I went straight out of high school, technical drawing into a civil engineering firm, doing, at the time, it was just on the cusp of CAD drafting.
Okay, yeah.
So we're talking 286s, 386s.
Yeah.
Do a command, go get your coffee,
Right.
10 minutes later, it's run.
Yeah.
So I was still old school, drawing site plans. That was my thing. And I did that for 8 years. And then it got to a point during that phase of having to learn computers because of CAD.
Yeah.
I've always loved art and drawing and stuff. So I got into Corel Draw. Nice. At the time.
Was Photoshop even really, or Illustrator really a thing yet?
Towards the end, it was, but I don't know why I originally went. I think I went with Corel Draw because it came free with the Gateway 2000.
Right, yeah.
So I just got into graphic design, which then, did the civil engineering firm. And then I had enough side work or enough, wow, maybe this can happen.
Yeah.
And then we just had, when I was married, our first kid was coming, Kyle. And I was like, talk with my now ex-wife, still my friend, Jen. And it's like, I could be daddy daycare during the day. Yeah. And then do graphics at night when she comes home. And then I knew it was time when at my civil engineering job, my boss came in one time and I was finishing up a client thing because I was behind and I was doing the thing you don't do. Yeah. I was doing it on company time. Right. And I was like, in my head, I was like, now's the time. Yeah. So I did that, made that jump. And then, of course, graphic design became web design out of necessity because people wanted websites. Websites, what's this thing? This is the late 90s. And so I learned web design, and it was mostly front end.
Right.
I don't enjoy back end.
Me neither.
I can deal with plugins and stuff, but yeah. And then the recession hit in 2008, that first one. And a buddy of mine was part of a company that company actually thrived in bad economic times.
Okay.
And he made me a job offer to come on as a web developer one.
Cool.
So it's like, all right, this is the smartest coder guy I know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be able to learn under him. It's a buddy who grew up with him too. Did that, jumped over there in 2008. So it was 8 years. The 8 scare me.
Yeah.
And I did the web development thing for 8 years, which then started as web development, but then they needed graphic work. So I was able to do my graphic design. And then this company, it was not a little company. It's 25 people, but I think in the highest year they did 16 million.
Oh, nice.
So they had a Google Ads guy that wasn't performing or doing so well. And I talked to the big boss guy just in passing one time. It's like, I've been reading a lot. Everything I learned, I either read.
Right.
This was before
YouTube, really, yeah.
Yeah. And he let me play with the Google Ads account.
Right.
I'm talking $200,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
That I get to learn from.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned Google Ads is doing that. And so that became graphic design, web design, marketing, which back then we called the unicorn. Everybody was looking for the unicorn that could do everything in one.
Yeah.
Now it's like commonplace, kind of morphed into that.
Yeah.
And not everybody can do that.
Right. That's a similar journey for me. I started learning Photoshop, trying to make band flyers and stuff like that, and then eventually learned Illustrator and then video editing and then the SEO and Google Ads and all that sort of stuff. But like a lot of it I learned just doing band stuff. I built my sister's first website she used to own Bill's Auto off like behind Sheets or across from Sheets like on Hardy's Drive. Okay. So their website was terrible. So I just built it and it was good. And I was like, man, I could maybe do this.
Right.
Like the same sort of like epiphany moment, like, okay, this might be something that keeps me working from home. Yeah. And to have that opportunity, I was like, well, I'm just going to keep selling this service and get better at it.
And especially at those times, this is late 90s, early 2000s, it was much easier to get jobs because no one knew how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And that helped me. And so back in the early days, I did over on Mathis used to be O'Donnell's Steakhouse. I did the VW show Bug Out. I did their early stuff. Yeah. And that's when I got to learn Flash. Yeah. And we had a whole thing with Flash. And, I did some stuff for Pete when he had his Clear Sound recording. Ross France and Ratliff, my old job, did there. So it just kind of grew organically.
Right. Yeah. Because if there's not a lot of people, and they didn't have things like Fiverr and, other web ways. So if you knew a guy in town, he's probably the only guy or one of a few. Yeah. Yeah. That's a cool journey though for, Yeah. And it's not dissimilar for me, so I guess I'm starting a general store at some point too. I'll buy it from you at some point.
Leesburg. Go to Leesburg.
Oh, yeah. So have you thought about like what the next steps are for it? Or, you're only a year and some change in, so it's really just like completing the implementation, getting the record store, but like, is there
fleshing
a longer
out the
term?
Record store? And then one thing I've had, some of my long-term customers have been coming, and it's funny, the record store room I talked about for a year. And so they come in.
I talked about this space for a year.
Exactly. So, and they come in, it's like, oh, you got that record store done? So the other thing I've had for over a year now is a laser engraved system. Yeah. Compact. And I just got same thing. Like I know it's a rabbit hole, so I haven't wanted to go down the rabbit hole, even though I want to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. There was enough with the store the way it was growing to do that. But I want to have an on-site laser engraved system that I can either do, mugs. Yeah. I have a bunch of
coasters.
Yeah, slate coasters. And this particular laser system does it's a dual laser, so it does soft materials and hard materials.
Okay.
You just switch it. So it does everything from leather to top of a biscuit roll if you want.
Yeah.
To hard material or glass and stuff. So
Right.
I just have to sit down, learn it.
Yeah. And we had talked like the ventilation is a potential.
Ventilation was the hurdle.
Yeah.
So I finally got, and that's what part of the delay was, the air purifier part of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Forever to come in, forever, because it was a Kickstarter thing.
Yeah.
And that delayed. And then, finally it came in, and I realized, well, purify is just, it's still got a hose attachment that needs to go out.
Right.
So that stalled things, because I originally wanted it right next to my counter so people can watch it do its thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's back in the hallway. I got a little table set up.
Okay.
Now I just got to get it going back there, which is right next to a window.
Yeah. And then you just need a few like things to practice on to make sure you got it dialed in and stuff. But that'll be a nice little extra hobby, extra revenue source,
That's
you
it.
know.
So, and someone said it, I think it was yesterday actually. We're talking about the whole retail and we can talk about the side job I do while I'm running the store. But they said, if you're just retail, especially now, January, February, it'd be amazing to have a service-based element to that. And so the laser engrave system, there's a couple other things I'd like to have in the future that kind of complement it in the way that laser engrave system.
It's like custom stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be able to make custom things for people on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to figure out how to get the files and stuff from them and that sort of, but if you're good at, Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever, then you can turn it around quick.
Exactly. They could just tell me what they want. And now, I'm trying not to overuse it. I'm trying to use it in a functional way, but the whole AI thing.
Yeah.
Which I used, my two best implementations of that lately. There was one I was working on a shirt design, and I had this really cool picture of a Mustang, front of a Mustang, just like they wanted. But from middle of the headlight over was cut off. I'm like, oh man. I was like, wait a minute. This is when they start building it into Photoshop and Illustrator.
Yeah.
So I did the thing. It gave me 3 options, and one of those options were like dead on.
Perfect.
I was like, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's saving us so much time. Like with a lot of the websites I do, the hardest part can be getting the content from the person or the business or whatever.
Always the hurdle.
Yeah, it's always a hurdle. So now it's like as soon as that happened, I everything increased significantly where I don't have to wait on them. This is what we did. Let me know the changes, and I'm done, and I can move on to the next projects instead of sitting and waiting for them for
I've had some
who knows how long.
Some clients willing to spend money with me before, but the hurdle was, I can't do anything until I can do so much, but all those pictures of this amazing work you do out in the field, I need those pictures.
Yeah.
And it's like pulling teeth.
Now you can pay me to go take the pictures, but they don't do that. I have another client. He's great, but it has taken him quite a while for him to get me the stuff that I need. And meanwhile, the site's 90% done.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on his project stuff, but it is what it is.
There's been a couple I just
keep bugging him every couple weeks, but
that's it.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
It is all you can do.
So the Google AdWords and stuff, is that serving you well? Are you do e-commerce too? Is there a thought to grow
so that's what
more?
Actually after the web that web developer job went 8 years.
Yeah.
And then the industry that they served, it kind of imploded because most of it was UK based finance industry, and they did a huge over-regulation, and it just ruined everything as far as what we did.
Yeah.
So we went from a 25 company, person company, 16 million down to literally like 4 people.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, I'm getting paid good.
It's only a matter of time,
this is
though.
like pulling teeth for me now.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy the work. One day is like
you had to
3
take
days.
on the people's work that left.
Everything.
Yeah.
And it was just not fun anymore.
Right.
And then that's when the whole thing was Shining Soul and Pete. We were talking. I rebuilt his Shining Soul website early on.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned e-commerce. That became initially it was just helping Pete out, pro bono here.
Yeah.
And then just started doing stuff, do a little graphic work, this, that, and things were bump, and it just became a good partnership. You know. He's got the marketing. He does the candles and stuff. Mm-hmm. So long story short, 2016, we launched the store, and historic downtown Manassas. And it went great. Things were great there. We had a good time. So that really was the first full-on e-commerce shop.
Right.
And maintaining it, running it, refining it and stuff. So everything I did from that then became applied to Black Metal Mercantile.
Yeah, of course.
I had a CD store way back when. I had a small
Maxwell House?
yeah, right. I had a small record label back in 20-some years ago now.
Okay.
Released 4 albums. So I had a little bit of e-commerce then because I had a CD store that complemented it. And then I had the marketing outlet. I own ultimatemetal.com, which back in the day we used to host all the big forums, Opeth, Anthrax, Testament, everything until Facebook ruined everything.
Right.
And I hate Facebook for like that kind of stuff. So that was the beginning of the whole e-commerce thing with Shining Soul and now Black Metal. But this is much tougher because I'm dealing with thousands of stuff trying to sync inventory with my store inventory. And I've had it already where I've oversold and I had to message the person, which I can't stand.
Yeah.
And say, I'm so sorry. I'm refunding your thing. And everybody's been cool about it.
Right. I mean, if they know they're supporting small local, then people probably aren't as big of assholes.
Sometimes.
Unless it's for Christmas and they need it in time or something.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, that's the way Amazon's kind of changed the psychology of expectations when it comes to e-commerce.
Yeah.
So
you could have your whole own line of Black Metal Mercantile, just stuff that you can create. And that's what you sell mostly as well.
I would love that someday.
Yeah. Just putting that. So I need a shirt first, but what else?
I actually meant to bring you one.
No, well, I'll get it from you. But what else are you trying to? Where do you see that part of it going?
You do have to be careful with something like that because not everybody wants to walk around with someone's logo and stuff on.
Yeah.
I've had a lot. This is actually brand new. Just a second order just arrived, so I sold out my first order. That was great.
Awesome.
I always appreciate someone willing to buy your shirt.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd do so much. You know what I will do? So have you seen my I Love Peeing Outdoors shirt?
I have seen that, yeah.
So
did you make that?
So yes and no.
Okay.
I did the design from scratch, inspired by others I saw.
Yeah.
There's so many versions of that out there. I don't know who the originator is.
Yeah.
When it gets to the point where there's 100 and you don't know.
You can't claim a saying.
I do the right thing, but I don't know where to go. So
right.
Maybe they'll find me one day. I don't know.
Right.
So I sold so many of those stickers that I was like, you know what? I'm going to design my own version of that sticker. Mm-hmm. And I did, but was able to buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
So cost me I'll just put it out there. Instead of costing me $1.75 each, it cost me 45 cents.
Right.
So
that's just smart business at that point.
Yeah, that's it. So selling that.
Well, you can use the store as a test site to see what would sell on e-commerce and stuff too.
Big time. Yeah. And that's what led to the shirts. I sold so many of those stickers. It's like, Christmas is coming up. I'm gonna print some shirts up.
Yeah.
And I did. And so December, records are my number one seller. Mm-hmm. I love Peeing Outdoors number 2.
Really? So you didn't even have an idea for really records that much in the beginning. It was just kind of something you were going to have.
It's just organically evolved. And
the people that are into it, there's not a lot of them. Well, there's not a lot of places that they can go to get stuff locally.
Yeah, around here there's a handful of places.
Yeah.
One's looking to retire after 40-some years. Remember Dragon Song?
Yeah.
John over there, he's great.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a couple, McKay's. My buddy Dan over at AG Rare Records, but that's a little different. He's eBay and he's by appointment only, and he does a lot of record shows.
Right.
But then you got to go to Leesburg, Fairfax.
Yeah.
So
and there was that one on 28, right, by City Tavern.
For a blip.
For a blip.
Yeah,
right?
Eclectic Circle. Yeah. And I have no idea why he didn't make it. I don't know the story, but yeah. But it's benefited me. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what about moving more into the funny shirt sort of things?
So that would be the thing. If when you talk about my own products, would be I have a notebook full of sticker ideas.
Okay.
I just have to sit down and do them.
Yeah.
So I have the sticker.
It's tough when you're doing everything.
Yes, it is. And So some of those stickers will become shirts too.
Yeah.
So apparel. And then, of course, that can then parlay over to tumblers and certain other little products.
Yeah.
So that's part of, got the laser engraved thing, and then that's the second big thing.
Before Greg passed, we had been working on drunkdigs.com. So just alcohol apparel, because we're in the whiskey club, so it would be an easy sell. We could sell it to people in the club and then, maybe sell it through a store like yours or something, but it never really got off the ground. But it's a great potential passive income once you have the initial idea. Just, keep churning it.
Why wouldn't you do it?
I think I still am, but since my own business is going pretty well, I mean, I had made, 40 or 50 designs. Okay. And we got to the point that, he was going through some tough times, and then it was like, all right, well, this is taking off for me, so I can't really do stuff for free. Yeah. If I don't know that it's going to make me money.
I've gotten to that point with other friends and stuff too.
Yeah. So it's like, but the idea, I mean, the website's done. I just need to connect it to Printful and then just start doing it.
So that was a thing that I like that. And I've had, when you use Printful or something, there's different suppliers you can choose and whatever. Yeah. There was one that didn't do too well as far as washes. Yeah. But I have a couple stores up, for example, ultimatevirginia.com, where I wanted to do Virginia themes. Yeah. And it's connected to Printful. I had another one that's kind of like horror stuff. I wanted to go full on with that.
You got horror stuff? My wife is starting a horror podcast. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Ultimate Virginia is a great idea.
Yeah, Ultimate Virginia. I own at one time I owned 450 domains. Now I've scaled it down to 300 some.
Okay. I'm only in the 50 or 60 range.
I want to let them go because I don't know if I'm ever going to get to them. But then I was like, oh, man, what if? Yeah. It's digital real estate.
It really is.
And so I own a ton of ultimate something. So I have music. I got ultimate metal, ultimate pop, ultimate, all the genres for the most part. Yeah. I have states. I have ultimate Virginia, ultimate DC, boom, 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 boom. Ultimate beaches. So it was going to be a whole theme that I was going to do. Yeah. And then I found out there's only so many hours in the day. Yeah. So
I think the Virginia one would be a great place to start, just because if some of that sold, you could still sell it in the store too. Or you could use the store as the stomping or the test place to sell the rest of the stuff.
And there's a couple of those designs that I'm probably going to get made up because one of the bigger surprises I've had, but I knew it. I don't know why I didn't think about it. There's a good chunk of tourists that come through there because of the history. Yeah. More than I ever thought. Yeah. Or they come to the area because they're visiting so-and-so, or they're here for work. I had that today. Yeah. 2 people in because they're visiting because of work. And the number one thing that I don't have that I'm always asked is Virginia products. Some kind of souvenir, whether it's a shirt, mug, shot glasses. And I try to refer, go check over to the museum. Yeah. And apparently they don't have a whole lot. And so
there's your answer right there.
Virginia stuff.
Just have a little corner that's, I mean, if there's more people than you think that come through, way more. They actually go to battlefields, and that's some of the stuff that they do. Or they look, I like to go to historic places, like the downtowns and stuff.
Yeah. Way more. Yeah. So I dropped the ball on that last year. One of the top things I get asked for, and I kick myself because it's I know this. I can do this in 2 seconds. Yeah. And I say that I'm still not going to get to it right now. Yeah. Postcards. I thought those are things of the past. Okay. Number one thing, that and shot glasses are the 2 that I'm asked about most.
Right. So, I mean, with the limited space, I mean, it's still a pretty big store, but how do you choose what? Because there's probably stuff that you like, that you kind of believe in, you think is fun, that might get people talking, but they don't buy it, maybe?
Beef jerky. I thought that would be the easiest sell.
Really?
General store, who doesn't like beef jerky? Yeah. I might have eaten a lot of it. But sometimes I felt I couldn't give it away. Right. And I didn't understand it.
Is it good?
Yeah. Yeah. And I tried different brands. I tried to put it in different spaces. And for whatever reason, I just couldn't move it. Huh. Not at the pace that I needed to move. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that I have to play that fine line. I always use the term step back into consumer shoes. Right. All right. I'm not the business owner now. I know that's been sitting on my shelf for blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's not moving. So you can move it to a different place, which sometimes works.
Yeah.
Or you suck it up and it's
Yeah.
got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's tough.
That is tough. I think the more custom stuff and the more unique stuff that you're able to like create yourself, that's going to be fun for you.
Yeah.
At minimum, hopefully it obviously moves and stuff too. But I think that like, instead of just selling like other people's stuff, if you're selling your own creations, like that's nothing better than
That's
that.
like the dream, right?
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's like to have your own, record label, and then you have your own record store selling your records, and people actually want it. That's like, that's the dream.
That is good.
For sure. I mean, so you do have it now where you could potentially like get somebody else to start taking over some of these managerial tasks?
Yeah. So for a while, I had my daughter helping. She's doing other things now, but just 2 days ago, actually, I had a young lady come in, and it's one of those things like it's double hurdle. I have to step back and realize
Can't do
I'm
it
not
all.
going to find another me.
Yeah.
I can teach only so much, but so that said, a lot of people with retail, my number one thing, this goes all the way back to Shining Soul days. You have to be outgoing. You have to talk to people.
Yeah.
You have to know when to step back from somebody. And you never, ever ask, is there anything I can help you with today?
Yeah.
Anything? Can I help you find anything?
Yeah.
Because the number one answer, 99.9% of the time, is no. And you close off that conversation.
Right.
So teaching that and teaching, talking, and then being able to step back and then just
Let them peruse around.
them determine how you're going to handle it.
Yeah.
So I like to use the phrase, I don't sell anyone. I don't sell them, I tell them.
Yeah.
So I tell them about the product. I tell them as they're walking past something, oh, don't forget to check that. That's my number 2 seller.
Yeah.
But I never lie.
Right.
And I listen without being a creep and seeming like I'm eavesdropping or something. I listen. So I might hear something. And I also, at the same time, like I'd love to see, the little calculations over someone's brain. I would love to see
Rain Man
what my
sort of thing?
brain's doing when
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, I think she's going to be cool if I say this,
Yeah.
No, don't say that to this one. Wait it.
It's probably good practice in like being a normal human
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Because
like reading people and like reading their mannerisms and stuff.
absolutely. That's probably the number one thing is if you can do that. And if you're not afraid to talk to people, which is strange because by nature, I'm an introvert.
Right.
Like I had to teach myself to do all this or to even do this.
Yeah.
I'm super content behind a computer.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But the band side of you, you can do it when
Yes
you
and
want
no.
to.
I would be so freaked out right before stage time. I can't tell. My stomach would be in knots and upside down. But once everything went on, kind of like a retail store, once I'm there, then it's much better.
I mean, I get nervous about doing this sometimes. I'm only, 10 or 11 episodes in, but as soon as we start talking, I'm just talking to somebody.
That's it.
It's not that big a deal, and, everyone's been cool so far. So it's not tough, but when you start overthinking, I wouldn't consider myself an introvert, but I can definitely be anxious.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
So you just have to I can do it.
So that took a while. So trying to teach someone that and then trying to discern, they say they're going to talk to a person. I can find out real quick if that's true or not. But I had a young lady come in the other day and I had a really good feeling right away. So she actually messaged me today. I might try that out finally. That's
just to
tough
be
for
like,
me.
is it someone just that would be like assistant manager sort of a thing, or
Just someone that can do things in the shop.
so you don't have to close.
Like maybe
close if you want to do something.
Yeah, maybe I'm sorting records in the back.
Yeah.
And stuff. But then the other part of that is, and this is in no way, doing this, but a part of any good store, think back to the old school general stores. Think back to Jimmy's coin shop there next to Public House.
Yeah.
That old man, the little dude ran that shop for so long, but people would go in there just for the conversation. And just,
Well, if you do it well, hopefully whoever you bring up underneath you would be the same reason for someone to go into the store.
You need to be able to find that magic.
Yeah.
And I had someone, but she has another job. And then And then someone that worked for us on the Shining Soul side for the longest time,
Yep.
Brittany, she's great at that. But now she's ventured off into her own business.
Wow.
She just started a wedding business, Danielle Rose Boutique.
Nice.
Boutique. So that's amazing. So there's been a couple people I know that I know could nail that.
Yeah.
But it's just the timing.
Yeah. Well, you get there.
Yeah. So I'm going to try it out and see if I can shape and mold somebody and, and think, because it's an art.
You had talked about having like a podcast studio in the record store area. How far, what you think you would do that too? I have all the notes for you at this point.
To it. I like that. Sooner than later, because my brain's always working. Like I got all these ideas and stuff. So in the record shop room, they have that wall where the TV is. I want to do an art thing on that wall as a backdrop. Mm-hmm. I have a couch. I just got to go get it in Leesburg, and it's going to go under the TV, and that will be the backdrop for a podcast.
Oh yeah.
And originally it was not so dissimilar from this, being able to grab people in town and just. I haven't heard very many people curse on your show.
Yeah.
On your
you
podcast.
can cuss. I don't care.
Shoot the shit.
Yeah, shoot the shit. Yeah,
And
that was one of my ideas for the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna. This is like the business version, but I want to do just hang out, have a couple beers, and have Trent and the old band members over, and just just
not necessarily dissimilar from Joe Rogan, except they localized version of that.
Right, exactly.
That appeals to a lot of people in a particular way.
Yeah.
And then the music side of things. Like I know so many musicians, going back to the whole one, I had the small record label. Like I'm the webmaster for Prog Power USA. It's a metal festival, Prog and Power metal festival that's going on their 25th year next year.
Wow.
But I've been working with Glenn on that since Prog Power 2, 3.
Oh wow.
So, and it was either I've done the website for most of those years. We launched the CD sampler. Remember CD samplers?
Oh yeah.
So booking CD samplers, implemented that. We do a full, I don't know how many pages it's up to now, but event program, which interviews all the bands and stuff. So I used to every year design all that.
That's
I don't
cool.
do that anymore. But so over the course of all these years, I've gotten to know a lot of band guys or label guys and stuff.
Yeah.
And
are they local at all where they could come do
some
it?
not, some are overseas. Like I know a bunch of people overseas and stuff, but being able to have a podcast with people either in person or when they're coming through on a tour, say, listen, you remember that web stuff I did for you back then?
Yeah, you owe me.
I'm calling one in. Like Camelot's band that I've worked with forever. Camelot with a K. Fantastic band. Thomas lives, he's originally from Richmond, down in Florida, I think still now.
Okay.
But I could totally get him in, with some of the band to come in on those days. But it's music stuff. Or grab Daniel from Age of Ruin.
Yeah.
There's so many great local talents. Or even you. And
I've
talking
done
about
stuff
your
too.
old band days.
Yeah. I mean, Trent plays with Tony Finley and stuff. He's their drummer now, Trent Priest. He was the drummer for all the good stuff that we did.
Right. What was that one band he was in? I when you guys mentioned him, I knew the name.
Another cover band. He's been in a few bands. Dreaming of Eden is our band, but
I don't remember if it was cover or an original. But
yeah.
I recognize.
There's another one that Tony and him just played with recently. But yeah, I mean, it would be good to just hang out with musician people. I don't really get that much anymore.
The battle will be much like this, is creating something that's interesting that someone's willing to watch.
Yeah. I think part of it is reps.
Yeah.
And then what I'm using to make the shorter clips, I'm getting like 3 people a day on TikTok, but that's like starting from zero, but I'm putting out 3 clips a day from these longer conversations. Yeah. So, it's like a field of dreams. You build it, they will come sort of thing. So I think if once you have that space, you're going to be, punching yourself by not using it.
It goes back to the whole thing that Gary Vaynerchuk preaches.
Yeah.
When he was doing Wine Library TV. And if you don't know Gary V.
Where have you been? What rock have you been under?
An amazing mountain of information. He's always ahead of the curve. But he did that Wine Library TV for how many years?
Mm-hmm.
Not hardly anything. And then, boom. Not only did he refine it up to that point, but just took off. And then now he's got a media company worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
but it's just by doing it, especially when people aren't watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Like that's...
Treat it like 50,000 are watching.
Yeah. Yeah. And then try to be as good as you can, but you're going to learn something every time. Like every time you write a song, you learn something from the last one.
Right.
You know, if you started out being a virtuoso, that would be pretty shocking.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I've learned that I say so a lot. I literally just said it, but by doing the editing and stuff, I'm like, okay, well, I need to fix these couple things in order to make it more, you know, like better to listen to. But I do want it to be just an organic conversation with people also, and not like staged.
I can't stand staged.
Yeah.
I can't stand manufactured cookie cutter.
That goes against everything black metal for sure.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So it's just in the world we live in now, like the whole organic thing and just being real is missing from so much stuff.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I have these questions just because like I would like to make sure I kind of have a cover of stuff, and other people have been like really nervous to just have a conversation. Yeah. So I'll make sure to give them some questions in advance. I never really answer all of them.
Like I glanced through them and it's like, I don't want to focus on it because sometimes sometimes, especially when I'm doing my dumb little videos for black metal, I was telling you that people will hit me up and say, well, you haven't posted a video in a while. It's like, I thought it was being just too goofy.
Right.
No, they're funny. They're great. It's like, great.
Right.
And then I made someone cry with a couple of them. Like I was doing this real serious thing. And the whole point was to promote the little hands that you put on your finger. Uh-huh. And I was doing this serious thing. I can't even remember what it was. And then I wiped my eye and talking. Then I went to wipe my eye with one of those little hands on my finger. And it went like this. But I still kept serious and I finished. And then I got all these comments like, oh my God, you made me cry. And then I saw the end. I was like,
so what are you doing that with? You got a GoPro?
I bought the GoPro.
I think you need to show your face though too. Sometimes.
I don't know. That might not work.
Well, you're funny and you're charismatic, so I don't know why not.
Yeah. So I want to do twofold. I got that specifically because I love. There's not enough of them. I love watching homespun reality, behind the scenes, business stuff. So kind of like CNBC, they had The Prophet, $1 billion buyer, you know, not undercover boss, but there was that other undercover billionaire.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I loved it, yeah.
And I love shows like that when they're not too fake. Like Bar Rescue got really bad, so bad.
Really bad.
But then it almost became like you'd miss the horrible overdubs.
Right.
You know, you'd be talking like this and all of a sudden it's like, and then back to the normal voice. Yeah. But the one particular one I watch a lot is Victory Outdoor Services.
Okay.
And the guy just all the time has his camera, GoPro on his hat, and starts out, recaps the episode at the beginning with good morning. He's got his whole thing, but it's real. It's not like too phony. And he does this thing with the cat and he goes into the store to get his coffee and then boom, it's his day.
Right.
And I mean, he's got,
is that on Instagram, TikTok?
On YouTube.
YouTube? Okay.
I think he's got 600,000 followers now.
Oh, wow.
Like it's tons.
That's a whole nother revenue stream if you can
absolutely.
Stay consistent. Does he do it every day or just a couple times a week?
Last I checked, it's several a week. I think he stopped.
I mean, it's not that tough to do if it's
just a matter of when
throw it on your head and go.
Yeah. And it's a mix. And he'll do straight cuts sometimes, you know, or whatever. But that's why I got the GoPro. But then I was like, man, I'm in retail. I can't be recording everybody. They're going to freak out on me.
Yeah.
So I got to
make them sign a waiver.
That fine line. Or a waiver. But I'd really love to share the experience of a day-to-day in a retail store with people. Because there are interesting things that happen.
So is it longer videos?
Days.
Like, so you just while you're working for an hour?
I don't know.
How much editing would be involved?
Well, that's what that'll be the battle.
Yeah.
Is which AI will come to help now, as you know. And I don't know. So it's going to be doing some tests and see what resonates and which doesn't take a crazy amount of time, but at the same time creates something fun.
Yeah. So from this, I have an AI program. Like, so I put it into Premiere Pro, and then it cuts us back and forth.
So that's what I have too. So that's good.
You have that? Okay. Then I use Opus Pro. Okay. It's like a couple $100 for the year, but that gives you like 3,000 hours that it will automatically generate your vertical clips. So it uses AI to find what it thinks is interesting, and then it puts the words over top of it. And then I've gotten like 20 clips. Some are better than others, but it's like I don't have to do that. I just upload the long form and it's done.
That's great.
So that would be something I would definitely suggest, because I think the short clips are how you get people to watch the long ones.
I agree with that. I didn't necessarily, when YouTube started bringing out shorts, which really was their response to TikTok.
Yeah.
I wasn't too keen about it until whether I was conditioned to like it or whatever, but now I get it, and it does lead me other places.
Right.
And it gives me
it's free promotion too for you.
Yeah.
Right? If you can get eyeballs on it that wouldn't be searching for a longer form thing.
Yeah. And that's probably what made me most start paying more attention is they became their own discovery area.
Yeah.
That led somewhere else. And then they get different rankings.
Yeah.
And they're always, of course, on the front page in some form. So.
Right. I mean, that's like a For You page, but they're doing it YouTube style.
Yes.
I mean, we're not doing that great there, but I'm trying to get to 20 episodes by the end of next month, if I can, at the latest April, just because I think the hardest hurdle is just making it a habit.
Consistency.
Yeah. And then
it's almost like the 21 days forms a habit.
Yeah, exactly. And then at that point it's like, all right, I'll figure out, have I gotten any leads from it? Do I like doing it? I know that I do already, but where do I see it going from there? So the goal is like short term, just get to that place and then sort of reassess and, probably just keep doing it exactly as I am, but I would like to have longer term play would be if I can figure out the editing to make it cheap, which I think I have, and quick, then have a space like maybe in historic downtown, and use it to rent. It's figuring out the packages and the price points, like what businesses could afford it,
right?
That it would make sense for me to still be profitable. And I'm not doing I can train someone else how to do it.
Right.
And they're the one that's actually there pushing record and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it would be something that's of value. I know Salisbury Center kind of, I mean, they have a pretty sweet setup.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the direction they want because they got their own shows happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're able to achieve that at a good price point.
Right.
And
that's the hard part, figuring out what people would pay. I mean, if it's like a roofing company, they're not going to care about paying $500 for a couple episodes if it gives them 20 clips for them to.
Right.
But is that little, I work with a lot of home service companies. Some people are a little dry.
Yeah.
Would I want to listen to you? Would have to be a separate. All right, we're going to use ChatGPT or Claude or something to tell us what do people actually want to hear about from you, and then make content on that, which is okay.
But you're right. It's not. It's going to be like those local television commercials you see sometimes.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Harold Beatrice, and just like
right,
and then you get those fun ones where the guys are just being goofy, and you remember those.
Yeah, so that's kind of like again, like once I kind of get to that point, but I've already gotten like leads because I don't think a lot of people knew. Because of being in bands, I have like 2,500 Facebook friends, but I don't think 90% of them know that I have my own company.
Yeah,
but now they do. Or they're starting to because I'm putting all the stories out.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and do you find it tough to like balance a personal account with the business, and you don't want to put too much of your business out there?
I mean, at this point, I don't care because I am the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, my wife helps, and then we have like some SEO VAs and some ads management people that help. But I'm the face of the business, so I might as well put it on personal. And then if I can be fun while I'm having a conversation with the friend, then it's not just all going to be about business.
That's what I found with mine. I was always back in the day of the music day. I have a friend of mine, Jax, to this day still calls me Spammer. because I was learning that balance. And so like when we had these music, this was the day of bulletin boards and stuff like that. And I didn't strike that balance well. I was like always promoting something. It's like, okay, spammer.
Yeah.
And so, over those little things learned. So yeah, but now you just keyed in on it. Like if you can do it in a way that doesn't come off as promoting or something, just make it fun. That's all the difference.
Yeah. I'm definitely guilty as well back in the day. I mean, I don't know if you watched with my cousin, but I used to have like a 7 CD tower burner.
Yeah.
And I would just go to everyone and, give out. And it was very salesy and not a good sales way. It's not, you wouldn't want to hire me for Black Metal Mercantile at that time, 20 years ago. But, I was just so, I'm proud, I guess, of what we were creating, and I really wanted to do something. But like I learned later, it's like, well, if people like it, they're gonna find out about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. But there is that balance of like doing some self promotion while still being a normal person. Like I don't want to sell tickets ever again to my own show.
Everyone, I remember there on Mathis. I remember this. I don't know why it's so vivid. Jack's, you had to sell tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember Bender's on Mathis? It was not where Salisbury is. It was the other side. But there was Bender's, and then it was called something else too. But, man, he was a jerk.
Yeah.
And he was, I think, a cokehead.
Sounds about right.
If you didn't sell enough tickets, and, you get there and they wouldn't let you play sometimes.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, what do you mean you're not going to let me play?
Yeah.
And I hated that too.
I mean, we had to do it in order to play like Jam and Java or 930 Club or something, but I'm asking my friends to buy tickets. And a lot of them wanted to go anyway, because that's kind of what it ended up being like, well, this is what we're going to do that weekend.
How we're hanging out.
Yeah, it's how we're hanging out. But I still never liked saying, hey, we're playing a show, you want to buy a ticket? Like, I'm not doing that again.
I never liked even my stuff, and I struggle with the black metal sometimes. Like, maybe this is what makes my videos funny. I'm very self-deprecating.
That usually is funny.
Yeah, and I don't like compliments a lot of times. So, for example, I mentioned earlier, for almost a year now, I don't really put it out there. I work with Historic Manassas Inc., and I'm their web graphics and social media guy. And that was because they lost someone, and I was like, hey, I do that stuff. Right. So it just worked out. And, why was I going on to that? You just mentioned something.
I don't know exactly.
Hold on. So I was mentioning it because, oh, shoot.
It's okay. We can cut it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that the side gig that you were mentioning that you do? Okay. Yeah.
And I just mentioned that.
It'll come back.
You said, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I do this Historic Manassas Inc. stuff. And, man, it really sucks. I almost don't want you to cut this out.
Just as a reminder to yourself.
Welcome to my.
But you were talking about doing the videos and people thinking it's funny and stuff like that, and being like more genuine.
I don't like compliments. This is what I say.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I don't do well. I'm very self-deprecating, and I have a hard time accepting compliments. Mm-hmm. So, my side gig that I mentioned earlier in the thing is I work with Historic Manassas Inc. as a contractor. Yeah. And I handle all the graphics, web, and social media. So one of the things I got to do for Restaurant Week is do a rendition of the Stephen Stills Manassas cover.
I thought that might be you that did it. Okay, yes.
Yeah. And I so want to put it out there. Here's what I did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you what I did. So anyway, I got a lot of compliments on it, and I was like, okay, yeah. And whenever I do, I'll shove on to another conversation or just
right.
About it. And I don't know why it's weird to me, but yeah, that one was fun. And that was Lisa Harlow's idea over at the Visitor Center. And I was like, oh, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I already had the album cover ready. So some people thought we took the actual picture and just altered it to make it look old. Mm-hmm. I actually took the original album cover and utilizing AI, I cut the guys out, had to reform some of the poles that were off to the right, and then cut Stephen Still's name out and fixed that up. And then we took pictures of all the guys over there, except Luke. He was missing.
Yeah.
And so we took the pictures, took them back. So I had to cut Blaine and John out, get them just right on their side, cut Chris and the other guys in the center out, but leave room for Luke. And then Antonio was a little spaced out. So let me cut Antonio out and put him against that pole. And then Luke, it was a different camera. I'm going to tag Nikki France in this.
Yeah.
Because she spotted it, and I made a whole thing, kind of busted my own chops, and I deleted it because it sounded weird. But Luke was a different camera, different lighting, different space and stuff. So I did my best to make him, look apart. And even after we put the picture out, got it and did all the names and stuff. But, budgets are budget.
Right.
And I didn't have the font. I found the font that was pretty close.
Yeah.
And so instead of buying the font and doing the font out, I did, the font previews. Type in what you want to say.
I use that all the time.
Copy, paste, black out, bust the white out. Did that for every single
Oh, really?
that cover. Yeah. But then Luke, we put it out, and in my fiance, I told Kat, I was like, oh, he's just not quite right.
Yeah.
And it was out, and then I changed it behind the scenes just for my own sake. It still wasn't quite right. And then I watched until they kick us out. Nikki, right away, is like, well, it kind of doesn't look it. I love you, Nikki.
Yeah. Sounds about right, though, Nikki.
And then Simone was so nice. She's like, yeah, but it looks. I was like, I love both you guys. Yeah. But I literally fired up Photoshop after that. It's like,
fixing this.
Oh, they saw it. And I spent an hour.
Yeah.
Just for my own sake.
Right. That's fun, though.
That's the curse of a graphic artist.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you think it's been, with the restaurants, supporting your brick and mortar sort of business? Has it been good?
It's good. I've always, even from the Shining Soul days, especially now with black metal, even at our ribbon cutting. Were you at the ribbon cutting?
I think, I was.
Yeah. So I spaced it out from the actual opening of the store by a few months. Not on purpose. It's just a way, because I wanted the store I wanted to have it look a certain way.
Right.
So we did the ribbon cutting. And I've always been a big proponent that everybody should help each other. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't have to promote yourself. Sometimes promoting someone else helps you both.
Yeah.
And I've always done that on the Shining Soul all the way up through now. So at my ribbon cutting, I went to as many as I could on a short order. It's like, hey, I'm having a ribbon cutting. I want to do a whole giveaway thing. And almost everyone, I think everyone actually said yes that I asked. Yeah. And we did giveaways with all these businesses. And it was fantastic. Ribbon cutting had so much good support. That was a proud moment.
Yeah.
Because that, Chief Keen had to shut a lane of traffic for a half hour because there were so many people.
Yeah.
And that made me feel real good, because really what that was a testament to what I tried to do downtown.
Right.
In building those relationships and helping each other.
You've been doing for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of culminated and then continued now with black metal into shutting a lane of traffic down because there were so many people jamming up the front. Yeah. And that was awesome.
That's awesome. And that's officially welcoming you as your own solopreneur sort of thing. That's got to feel good too.
That was cool. So not because of that, I would have done it anyway, but that cemented the ideas this is why you help promote other people in addition to yourself. And I'm going to continue to do that. Mm-hmm. And I just did it today. Before I came here, Jort just launched his web show. Mm-hmm. So I made sure to get a post out about that on my own business page.
Right.
And I think that sometimes throws people off, but then they understand that. So,
well, especially if they start watching your YouTubes and stuff. I'm hoping that these gives you a bunch of clips too for you to post, so people know you a little bit more. Not just the owner of the business, but you're Deron.
And just that, you doing the show is inspiring for me. And makes me want to get my butt. I've been talking about, just like you, I've been talking about it for so freaking long.
That's what I said. Once I painted the walls, my wife was like, you got to do something with it. So I had to start buying everything. And this is fairly inexpensive. I mean, obviously the phones, but you have a a 14 Pro, 15 Pro.
I mean, it's so bad.
It has the right cameras.
Yeah.
So that's all you would need. So you
trio.
just that, maybe one other one, just so you have stuff to cut to. But once you actually have the space set up, then you're going to, shoot yourself every time you're like, I'm not using it. It's getting dusty, and like, especially, I'm going a little bit more aggressive, but you could do 2 a month to start, and that'll give you plenty of short little clips,
Right.
But it's just having the space set up. And then, cause when I got everything except for the sign, and I was just like being slow about getting the sign. And
so I get that sign.
Yeah, well, I was like kind of, still, it's like writing a song and you're like really close to having it done. It's like, but there's some sort of procrastination in you because it's going to require all this other work that you're going to have to do.
I'm the king of procrastination.
Yeah.
You can ask Pete that. Like, this procrastination and my Diet Pepsi are my 2 worst traits. So much so that, again, I'm a little older than you. I don't know how long you've been like in the web stuff, but do you remember John Chow?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so he was like one of the early, I think he's still around, one of the early like online affiliate marketing and internet marketing guys. And he had a pan to the face article once that said, "Stop trying to get your ducks in a row." And it took that article and watching that to like say, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm always, I can't launch this till it's just perfect. And you'll never
do it.
Never.
I mean, if you would have done that for the business, you wouldn't have a business.
No. Right. And so Black Metal was like complete shoestring budget.
Yeah.
I was looking on what I had to work with fixture wise, which really weren't fixtures. They were tables and then milk crates. I can stack these milk crates like this and then put something on top. And even the record shop room, it's other than the vinyl cabinets that my buddy Tracy built, which are amazing, everything is shoestring budget. I had to get a CD shelf. That costs a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to do this, that it doesn't break the bank, especially in a tough economic times, but still make it look like $1 million.
Right.
I mean, this looks fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah.
She did all the designing and stuff. I just did the painting
great.
And buying of everything. But once you get to that point, I'll tell you what I bought and you can, get ready to roll. So, let people know how to find you. Instagram, Facebook is just Black Metal Mercantile.
Everything's under Black Metal Mercantile, mainly Instagram and Facebook for now.
And the
YouTube will come up. Yep. And so e-commerce is blackmetalmercantile.com.
Okay.
And of course, right on Center Street at 9082 Center Street.
Awesome.
I get to watch traffic all day long.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, just kind of, I never expected the backed up traffic because Shining Soul, we were a little further back. Every almost light cycle, I get this.
Oh.
Look in the windows. That's why I'm always very calculated with the windows.
Yeah.
And why my primo item is I love peeing outdoors.
Yeah. That'll get people to turn.
I've had people park their car, come in. Countless people park the car, come in.
Well, that's just a good idea. How much more, how many other funny things, that you can put in the window. That's a great idea. Yeah. So, well, I look forward to being able to support you and thank you for coming on, Deron.
No, thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.